Hi everyone, Courtney here from How to Loom Your Dragon. I am going to be recording the process of doing a large painting. I thought it would be fun if I document the process of the painting so you guys can kind of see how I do my paintings, and I can kind of give you a little bit of tips and tricks along the way too. And right now I'm in my car because I'm on my way to Michael's to get a painting set. I'm at the store and they don't have the paint. I didn't want my visit to be a waste, so I got storage cups for paint, which are very helpful when you mix colors and you don't want to have to keep remixing them. And I got a big palette, because I actually don't really have a big palette. So I have this giant canvas that apparently is older than me. From the person I got it from told me that it's older than me. Alright, so I opened up the canvas and I sketched out what I'm going to be doing. So I pretty much just placed where I'm going to put everything. So I drew some mountains and some foothills, like an island coming out here. I have like the main front area where there's going to be like a forest area here with a bunch of trees, like really big evergreen trees. There's going to be like a moose here by the water. I'm going to be using acrylic. I was going to do oils, but they just didn't work out the way I wanted them to, so I'm redoing it with acrylic paint. So I have all my paints and my palette and my storage cups ready. These are great if you're going to be storing colors, that way you don't have to keep remixing because the acrylic paint dries very quickly. So I started the sky. I'm going to be doing a sunset look, so that's why obviously it looks like a sunset. I always start my paintings from background to foreground. So I'll be doing the sky and then, the mountains and then moving forward. Alright, so here is the hopefully finished sky. I put another coat on it, so the first coat was pretty much the flat colors, and then once that dried, which acrylic paint dries really fast, I put on another coat and kind of mixed it up a little, mixed the colors. And I put some clouds in the sky, and I also paint the edges of the canvas too, which is also a good idea, especially if you want to hang it up without a frame. It's always nice to paint the edges too. There's kind of a white blotchy areas over here, but that's only because I'm going to be covering up most of that with trees anyway, so I didn't cover the whole thing. Okay, so I started doing the mountains. Right now they look really, really light, but they shouldn't when they're done. Because everything I do, I create a base coat, and then I go over it with other colors, like I did with the sky. So I have a dark bluish green color that I'm going to be using on the shaded side of the mountains, and hopefully it'll give it a really pretty look. So I am right now working on the mountains. As you can see, I'm adding some dark layers in. So after I put those light layers in, I'm going back with a darker brown and even like a bluish gray, and just darkening up some of the areas on the mountain. I'm kind of being free about it though, so I'm kind of just darkening up the area anywhere I really feel like darkening, and it ends up looking pretty cool. But I just keep in mind that the shadow is on the left side of the mountain and the light area is going to be on the right side. So I am adding some snow onto the mountains now. If any of you know who Bob Ross is, you'll know exactly what I'm doing here with a palette knife. So I'm actually adding snow using his style, except I'm obviously using acrylic paints instead of oils. So I kind of just put a little paint on there, and I'm going to get all the light areas first. That part's a little messed up, I'm going to fix that. And then I kind of just rest the knife and drag it to kind of get like a little bit of a snowy look. It's not perfect, not as good as he does, but it kind of gives it a little bit of a snow look, the light gray color. Let me fix this part here. Okay, it'll take some practice, even I'm not perfect with it either yet at this point, but... And then I'm going to be doing a darker color on the other side. Those of you who don't know Bob Ross, you need to look him up because he's a really, really good painter that used to be on TV. I am now adding some foothills here underneath the mountain, and all I'm doing is just taking a nice dark green that I mixed and just doing brush strokes up and down. Alright, so I did the foothills, and now I'm working on some trees in the center-ish area. They're still going to be in the background, but I'm adding detail to them. So I'm just taking a skinny brush and just doing different shades of the same green and just going around and putting some branches on the trees. I'm not doing the entire detail of the entire tree because I'm going to be doing that for the trees in the foreground, but for these trees back here I'm just doing a little bit of detail on them. So I added some trees in the foreground. I'm going to be putting some of the trunk in there eventually and maybe lightening up a couple branches. Alright, so this is what I have done so far. I've done some kind of bushes in the background by the trees. And then I started doing the water, or the shoreline, but I just realized that I'm going to want to do the reflection in the water first and then do that after. So I started the reflection in the water. Like I did in the sky, I'm going to have to be doing several coats. Unfortunately it turns green because blue and yellow make green when they're mixed, so I'm going to have to cover that up like I did in the sky, with other layers and including red too. So I'm going to try to reflect the sky as much as I can. So this is what I have done for the water so far. I actually messed up a lot, so I'm actually going to be redoing a lot of it because it just ended up looking muddy, the reflections I did. So I'm going to be fixing that next time I paint, hopefully. But I added some more detail to the bushes back here and some little branches in the bushes and started a water line, but I'm actually going to be fixing that once I do the reflection, and then I'll be redoing the water line. So I worked a little bit more on the reflection. It's proving to be a big challenge for me. For some reason I just can't really nail it the way I want to. But it doesn't look bad. I'm going to be putting some land coming out from here, so it'll cover up this area. So hopefully the majority of the reflection will be good, and then of course there's going to be the land over here with all the trees over here. So I think it'll look good in the end. It's just I've been working on this reflection for like hours and it's not coming out 100%, but I think it'll look alright in the end anyway. So I added some little ripples into the water and also put a vague reflection of the trees and the mountains, and now I'm working on an island in the front, or kind of in the front, so I'm just taking a bunch of different greens and yellows and red, dabbing it with a fan brush and kind of just dabbing it on, and then I will be adding more detail and highlights to the grass after, as well as like trees and bushes and other cool stuff. I finished the majority of the island. I still have to do the ripples in the water, and I'm also going to fix this shadow because it kind of looks a little muddy, but overall I think it's looking really good. So I'm starting the landmass in the foreground, and all I'm doing is just taking a nice earthy green that I made and just dabbing it with a fan brush. I'm just kind of making the landmass here, which I'm going to be adding obviously more detail to as I go. And then in this big white blank space I'm going to be putting a bunch of trees that are going to be on this landmass. Okay, so I put the solid form of the landmass down with a little bit of highlights. There's a lot of paint on there, so I'm going to take a break and come back to it later, this area, because I did a lot today. But it looks so good! I'm so excited. So I have filled in all the white area with the trees, though I still have to add some detail to them to make them pop a little more. I also put some highlighting on the grass and some flowers and twigs. I still have to do some of the water line, and the moose is probably going to go here, so I don't need to worry about too much of this area. I might put some more grass here, maybe some bushes. Whew! Wow, so I added more detail. I'm still not done. I still have to do this area and add the moose guy. But I added a yellow tint to everything. So I put yellow tints here, yellow tints along the mountains and the trees, everything that is in the direction of the setting sun. So all these guys have reflection, like yellow reflections, and I think it added a really, really nice touch. So I'm almost there. So pretty! I love it. I still have to do the moose. He's gonna go about right here. And he's gonna cover up part of this area here, which is good because I personally don't really like this spot right here as much as the rest of it, so he'll be standing like here. So what I did here was I sketched out the moose in chalk, okay, and then I will be painting it. It will probably end up looking different from the sketch, but the sketch is just to give me an idea of where it's going and the approximate size of it. Alright, so I have done the light color on the moose. So what I usually do is I just fill it in with one color and then I add the details after. So I put the moose there, put the color on, and I also added a little more detail. I added some white flowers into the ground, I added details onto the bushes, and a little more on the trees here, onto the bushes back here, over here, so I just added a little more detail everywhere. And so all I pretty much have to do now is just fill in the moose and finish him off. So I started to add a little bit of detail to the moose. I started by blocking out some of the main colors, and then I'm going to go back in and do some details. I think I finished! I'm so excited. I finished the moose. This painting took a long time. I finished it over a period of maybe about a week or so. I've been working on it for hours and hours each day. So I'm just going to zoom in and just let you take a look at all the detail. So pretty much I wanted to make sure everything reflected the sun to give kind of a sunset look to it. And now that I'm done with the painting, I have signed it in the corner, and I am just covering it in a clear coat of a gloss varnish, which will give it a shiny look once it's done. I pretty much covered it already. I'm just kind of brushing it out to make sure everything's evenly dispersed, but that's pretty much it. I hope you guys like it. I love it. It is 30 by 40, so it's almost 3 feet by about 3.5 feet. 2.5 feet by 3.5 feet? I can't do the math right now. Almost like, pretty much like that. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. It was a lot of fun, and I know a lot of people have been asking for more painting tutorials, which I don't know if I'm going to be doing, so I figured I would do this. Hopefully you learned a couple tips and tricks from the video on how to paint. And that's about it. I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you soon, everyone. Bye!